Just Hi guys, DanDennyGX here and welcome to another video featuring the beauty Grace and the Pokemon's face. Today marks kind of a special day for me because that was the day of my first ever Pokemon regional, which is awesome. So what I thought I would do is make a video to kind of share my experiences and my story and what it was like to go to my regional for the first time. Being a semi-competitive player and kind of going in with the mindset to lose, so let's get on to it. To give you a brief overview, the regional was in Sheffield, so there was a little bit of pre-planning involved because I live quite far away. I got a couple of buddies in on it, so myself and my friend Kieran were like, okay, do you want to go to this regional then? So we decided to go, and then we had another friend that met us there and we all kind of like hung out during the evenings and stuff. So yeah, basically a regional is kind of like, basically the whole idea of it is to kind of gain points to get into world championships. Yeah. If you don't win, or if you don't get an invite, you get like points that can contribute if you do well. That wasn't my goal. My goal was to simply go there for the experience. So my goal was to go there for like the first experience, kind of get to know what like the environment was like. I can't stop touching my face. It's weird, like watching myself on camera. I'm so like, anyway, the whole idea was not necessarily to go there for the points, but just to get an idea. So then the next time I went, I'm less nervous about what to expect, and I kind of know what to expect. But so I'm going in with bigger card knowledge and a better deck, and kind of just like going there to actually kind of score some sort of glory rather than going there for the fun and just to see what it's like. Obviously, I'd like to have won it or do well. Very unlikely for your first time. Makes sense. But it was kind of like, you know, anyone who goes to a tournament has a chance of doing well or succeeding. So why not aim high but set your standards small so you don't disappoint yourself. That was my mindset anyway. To give you an overview of the event, there was 500 people. And it was like packed into like a sports hall. It was very busy. There was also video game championships going on and a junior championship going on. So there was lots of events. So there was loads of side events in day 2. So that was kind of cool. So day 1 or day 0 is kind of getting your stuff and prepping to go. Myself and my friend booked our hotel in advance, so we didn't have any worries there. It turns into an expensive weekend the more you hear me talk about it. So you book your hotel for a couple of nights, so you want your Friday and your Saturday, and then your Sunday you kind of pick up your stuff and go home. You get there, you want a bit of time to kind of scour like the environment. So if you haven't been to Sheffield, I haven't been there in a long time, you might just sort of see what's around. That's always part of the experience as well. I haven't been to Sheffield in over like 3 years at this point, so it's kind of nice to like revisit an old place and, you know, just like kind of do a bit of shopping and do whatever, like have a look around. We met up with our friend who arrived in the evening. We all went out for food, which was that was awesome. That was a lot of fun, and we were kind of just like speculating what decks we might come up against and stuff. Kind of excited for the event because you don't know what to expect, especially if it's your first regional. And I think like myself, Rich, and Kieran, that was all our like first regional, that event. So we all had no idea what to plan. I think that was the case. So yeah, going on day 1. So 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock, depending on what time the event started. I can't remember. It was like a year ago. You sign in and you pre-reg. And when you pre-reg, they kind of check your name against the list because you have to book like your place on the tournament in advance. Anybody can enter, but you have to book in advance. So you go in, you queue up, and they take you around. They do your deck checks. They compare it to the list you hand in. So you have to hand in a list with all your details on, including your Pokemon trainer number and all that stuff. Was it your trainer ID? And then you get given some goodies. So you get a playmat, which was this right here. So I will never get rid of this. This was the region. This playmat marks my first ever regional. So it's got Deoxys and Umbreon on there. Very cool card released at the time from Unified Minds. You get your stuff and you kind of go sit down and wait for everybody else because you're talking about like 500 people got to go in a pre-reg. And that was just for the main event, let alone the video game tournament or the junior league. This is just for the like masters. During this time, I spent a lot of money, went around to all the vendors and I was like, give me all the Hidden Fate stuff. I want to pull this shiny secret rare Charizard. Didn't pull it, spent too much money. And then I met up with some friends at the same time while we were just waiting for the event to start, which was kind of cool. That's like one of the great things, is that you might bump into people that you know played the game, but let's just say have visited your locals like once or twice, and you haven't seen them in ages, and then you just see them rocking up at a regional. It's so cool. It's such a great feeling. I kind of got to meet PTCG Radio and Zapdos TCG as well, so that was awesome. Got to speak to them. We got a selfie with them as well. Zapdos TCG was so cool. He was super chill about it. I was like a little bit nervous. I was like, hi, I watch your channel. You're really cool. And it was like, he was like, oh yeah, cool, thanks. Take a selfie, gives a hug, and like sees me on my way. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's a lit guy. And then PTCG Radio was like, yeah, I'll do a selfie with you. And I was just like, I think, oh, it was just lit. And then during the day, I lost my first game. And I was like, well, I didn't lose actually. I drew my first game. I had like 3 people watching the game, which didn't help. He had a black market and playing a Spiritomb deck. So I ended up losing, or drawing, I lost that game. I won game 1, and then he won game 2 because I didn't play my Giant Hearth or Marshadow at the time, and I had the cards. I had like a hand of like 9 cards. It was ridiculous. And because I was like in my head about it all, and I wanted to win. I saw the time, I was like in a rush. And yeah, it just went downhill, and it was just tragic, really. But it was fine. I was a bit miffed, but it was fair. Like, you know, kind of got over it. Game 2, won a few games, lost a few games. Like, at that point, I wasn't taking the event too seriously. There was one point where I was in the losers table, and there was some guy sat. I wasn't playing against him, but he was sat like one table down. He literally offered his opponent to, oh, do you want to call it a draw and go KFC? And I lost my shit. I was laughing so hard.
Get it?
We just ended up having like this banter. So everyone who had like accepted the fact that they're not topping were just like at this table, just like taking the mick and having a laugh, and it was brilliant. I was sat next to PTCG Radio. He's a very popular YouTuber. And I swear to God, he was having none of my crap. Like, he was just over it. I think it was really funny. I thought I was having like the best time. I was having a laugh. And I just don't think he understood my humour. All he probably thought was like, oh my God, this sassy guy just like, and I'm just like, perfect description, right? My humour. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious. He probably didn't. He was like trying to play like a serious game of Pokemon. And I was just like, you know what, I'm losing. Like, I don't care. I'm going to have a laugh. And then when you let go of that like mentality, you just enjoy the game more. Like, obviously, you know, it's always good to do well, but if you don't want to kind of dwell on the fact that you've not done well because you've got a whole day of playing. One thing we all didn't take into consideration is the fact that you get no time between rounds to go to the toilet, eat or drink something, because the moment they get all the results in, that's it. Next game's on. Like, you got to run to like the podium where they like release the match results on your pairings, and then you have to go to allocated seat and wait for your opponent. However, it gives you incentive to either lose your next match faster or win your next match faster, or just scoop it, just so you can get some sustenance and go take a wee. Like, it was just crazy. So that caught us off guard completely, and you forget you're playing this from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. It is non-stop. It is exhausting, and that was, again, something I didn't take into consideration. I did all right. I think I drew one game, lost 4 games and won 4, something like that, or maybe I lost 5 and won 3. Again, it was my first regionals. I beat some people. That was like, I got to take home that. However, I did have a really bad last game because this guy, and God bless my friends at locals, he called me out for misplaying, and I basically drew a card before promoting. All I had was a Mewtwo on bench, and I drew a Mewtwo. And I was so frustrated about this. I understood why he did it. It makes sense in a strict environment. You know, everybody's playing for something. But this was game 9. It was 9 o'clock at night. I didn't care. And he was just like, I even said to him, like, I'll just scoop the game if it means that much to you, mate. Like, I'm over it. I'm ready to go home and just eat some crap and just go to sleep. And, you know, stay there, hand straight up, call judge. And I was just like, are you serious? So I just started packing up my stuff. And the judge comes over and he was like, yeah, it'd be a 2 price penalty. And I'm just like, well, yeah, sure. That's like, you know, fair enough. I wasn't going to win. And I just kind of was like, I scooped that game, and then game 2 came and I just drew bad. I just like gave up in general. And he was like, oh yeah, good game. I was like, it wasn't really a good game though. We're playing for the best of the losers, and you're calling a judge out for me for misplaying when I offered to scoop instead, just to kind of like, own up to my mistake, not put me in this really awkward situation I didn't want to be in. That's besides the point. You did the right thing. I totally get that. But when you're playing the best of the losers, it's like, is it really a competitive game at that point? Interesting question. I don't know. Get that. But I was just like, ugh. It just killed my butt. So I almost ruined my whole day. But I had a bit of a rant to my friends when we went and got Subway or pizza. I don't know. I can't remember the days of which food we ate when. That was like day one. It was a great experience, but it just caught me off guard completely. But that's why, like, if for my advice as someone that's only been to one regional, just don't, you've got a lot against you in the sense of your lack of like understanding the environment. You might have played locals, great, an event like that might take you by surprise just by the sheer amount of people alone, the environment you're in, things like that. So yeah, like that was my day one. It was still a great day. I loved every second of it. So going into day two, me and my friend who I drove up here, we didn't really stay that long. I was like, I'm going to try like offload some bulk because there's a few vendors there where I spent a lot of money on day one. So I got up myself hold of 2 Cynthias, and basically I was like, oh yeah, I've got these. So just basically playing with the most flexy deck. Actually, I will put a couple of photos of the deck that I was playing. Because I literally went there, I was like, I'm going to flex the shiniest stuff. I was running a shiny rainbow rare Charizard tag team. And every game I played on day one, they were just like, why are you playing that? And I'm just like, because it's lit. Like, look at this shiny card. And like, they're just like, I would have sold that. And I'm just like, well, I love the card. I'm going to use it. And I'm doing it for that reaction because it's funny. And it's like a bit of a flex on me. It's like, yeah, I've got shiny Charizard. I mean, seriousness, you know what I mean? 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 Anyway. Day two, there's a load of side events going on, which is cool. Me and my friend decided not to partake because I was like, well, we got a message from our local, so we were like, we'll hang around, they'll sell some bulk, see if we can't scout any stuff that's worth buying, and then we can head on our way, go home, and kind of go to our locals and then play some games there. So day two wasn't like a big thing. Day one is usually like where the drama is. Like that's where all the competition is, but that's where everything's like popping off and everyone's trying to kill each other with Pokemon. Anyway, to conclude this video, I'm going to give you 5 things to consider that if you're going to your first regional, like I did, these are like just 5 little tips or 5 little frames of mind or bits of advice I would suggest to you as someone that's going to the new environment. Just because I'm not trying to do this from a competitive standpoint, I'm trying to do this from a more like experience standpoint. So my first tip is pre-plan. Book for the tournament because you ain't getting in if you don't. Book your hotels because you're going to need them, especially if you're travelling like I was. And plan when you're going to eat. Plan what you're going to drink and just be prepared like on a sort of self-sustainable level. Number 2, have fun and relax. Everybody's there for the same thing. Everyone's there to play the game. No matter like the level of seriousness, it's you have been playing the game for a period of time. If you're going to regionals, you've probably got some experience behind you to prove that you're good enough to have what it takes to be in that situation in the first place. Or if not, you've got the money to. But that's besides the point. So yeah, just relax, have fun, because you'll only misplay if you don't. You'll only like mess all your. Number 3, God, make sure you carry food or drink. The amount of times I'm dying for a drink, and I'm literally, if you go into time of round, so you've got 45 minutes to play a game, you go into time of round, you've got 3 turns, and then that's it. You straight up get off your seat and you play your next game. It was a good 2-3 minute walk to a vending machine to get a drink, so you weren't going to do that if you hit time around. So make sure you've got something that you can store or carry with you just to keep your energy up, because if your energy is better, you're going to play better. That being said, have breakfast and have a big one. Trust me on that. Number 4, speak to people. Like, I got to meet some of the 2 cool YouTubers. That was awesome. I was really excited by the idea of meeting Zapdos TCG and PTCG Radio. I was actually on the hunt for them because those were like the 2 primary sources that I used to get my information from. I am thinking about starting to do my own information because I'm very terrible for research. I tend to ask the guy at locals, and be like, "Go, what's going on?" So with that in mind, I'll be like, "Oh, that would be good with this, this, and this," and maybe I'll actually like when I do my openings, I'll have a bit more knowledge. So that might be a self-reflective thing. But yeah, speak to people. You know, try and get some insight, see how people play their decks. I did that a few times. I had a few mirror matches with Mew Mew. My Charizards were shinier though. So it was kind of like interesting to see some of their playstyles. So I was constantly in and out with the idea of playing Rainbow Energy Mewtwo or Psychic Energy Mewtwo. Understanding why some people make the choices that they make, because everybody's got a different playstyle. Like, for me, if I could stick a Welder and a Jirachi in a deck together, I blooming well will. You'll see a deck profile and it's going to be, oh, it's another Welder deck profile. Even though I've only done one. Besides the point. Yeah, so just speak to people, you know, you might make some friends. Like, so that's always like something you can be excited for. And number 5 is don't focus on winning. Oh my god, like don't be so fixated on the concept of winning, because if you do bad, it might warp the perception of your day. Go there to perform and perform well and do the best that you can, but don't be disheartened if you don't win. Just take it on the chin and just go for your next game and play with it all. That being said, if you are having a bad time, like because my friend was, he played a GX deck and ran into 5 anti-GX decks, and he had no ways to kind of battle against them, and so that just kind of like ruined his day. He just played like everything that his deck like suffered against. So I kind of feel for him on that one. I don't blame him. I would have probably done the same if it's so to the point. But if you can play on, do it, because the experience will be worth it. And it kind of, again, if you kind of go there with the intention of soaking up the experience and the knowledge, then the next time you attack your regionals, you know what it's going to feel like and you'll be better prepared. Your mindset will be in the right area, and the only thing that is stopping you will either be the matchups you have, or maybe the lack of research like me, or something like that's less psychological and more practical, things that you can actually do things about, or the actual matchups. You can't help a bad matchup. You can, but you can't. Shh. That concludes my video on my personal experience on my first ever regional, which was a year ago. I've probably missed a bunch of stuff because I'm trying to basically tap into the unknown of my brain and basically revive a dead hard drive trying to think about it. But yeah, I had the best time ever. Like, I can't wait to go again, and I can't wait to go there like with more deck testing, more like knowledge on the game, and just like a better like play style, like being a bit more meticulous with my moves, you know, just being like very kind of like having hindsight to just be better prepared. And you know, like I say, the only thing that would stop you is, you know, your matchups. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my little random story on what my first experience at a regional was like. I don't know how much of this is going to be me talking or my little animated person talking, but we'll see. Have a lovely day and good night, and if you liked it, like it. If you want to sub it, you can sub it too. That'd be amazing. Thanks. Yeah. Have a good night, guys.